Good morning, everybody. My name is Colin Westwood. I am the coordinator of handicapping and gin services for the Washington State Golf Association, and I'm going to be going through our webinar today for tournament management, the advanced portion of single-day events. So I think everybody is mostly signed in now, so we will get started. If you have any questions, Kevin will be answering them in the chat window. Feel free to write them in down there. If you think of something later, definitely email us and we will be happy to answer. So what we're going to do today is take the event that we created last week and go more in depth on it and go over some of the things that I would consider advanced for single day events. These are mainly different types of tournaments, other niceties such as logos and banners. And so let's get right into it. So where I'm at now on my screen is I'm going to be in the event dashboard for our TM webinar event that we created yesterday. As you can see up here on the left, it kind of shows you where you're at in the tournament management program. As you can see, we're in the Washington State base test. This is the general account that we're in. And then the event we're in is the USGA TM webinar, and we know we're in an event, and we're in the event dashboard. So that's always a good way to kind of track where you're at, and if you ever need to go back, you can click on one of these, and it will take you back to basically the main portion of that. So you can either go to the Customer Center by clicking here, Event Dashboard by clicking on here. Since we're already on the Event Dashboard, it doesn't take us anywhere. So similar to last week, what I want to do is kind of walk through the different categories, menu options that we have, and we'll go through the advanced portions of each. So under our event window, event menu, we talked about last week kind of the basic event profile and the course details. And we will get into the multi-round stuff next week. But today I want to show you specifically logos, banners, and backgrounds. This is where you are going to load all of your unique logos, banners, and backgrounds that you will be utilizing in the tournament management program. So what you'll be putting on reports, scorecards, using for your leaderboard, and using on your event portal or the website that's created for it. So let's load in a logo here. So we will browse and find our logo, and we will upload. So as you can see here, there are some conditions to the types of files that you can use. JPEG, GIF, and PNG are kind of like the main ones for images. So unless it's some unique file, you shouldn't have that bit of a problem uploading it. You can also see there's a limit on size, so that's just something to look out for if you have a very detailed or very large logo. Next thing you'll see here is that you can set whether it's a primary or secondary logo. So we're going to set this as a primary, and then if we were doing a corporate event, we would, for example, put in their logo and set it as a secondary, so that way we could have both logos on a report as we go. And so right now we have two images uploaded, and this we could use that as a background. And next I'm going to upload a banner that I have. So I'll browse, I will find my banner and hit open, and then I will upload the banner. Actually, I upload it into logos, but we can move that around, not a problem. Alright, so we will delete this from here. And go into our banners and upload banners. There we go. It's important to have these in the right places, because if you have your banner, for example, in your logo area, then that option to use it as a banner will not come up. As you can see here again, there are some specifics to what the size of the image can be, not only in picture size, but then also just the width and the height of the image. So you can see here that this image is a little too tall for their banner width, so it's not going to come out exactly how I want it. So that's something that I would need to edit the image at, but we will just use this as a test for now. Alright, same thing, background images. I'm just going to upload the logo again so we can at least see how that works. Upload this. Alright, and then you can see here where we want it to be used as. So portal, and we'll use it for our TV display also. Okay. So there's, as you can see, there's no save button. As you make the selection, as you upload, it's automatically saved, so you don't have to worry about hitting save in the end. So that's how we upload all of our pictures and images we want to use throughout our event. And then actually the use of them comes later when we're doing the specific things. Let's go back to event. And the next thing I want to just go over again is the event managers. We talked about this briefly last week, but I want to reiterate it. This is a great way when you're having an outside event to add people to it without having to give them access to everything. So as you can see here, these are customer managers, and those people have access to the entire account, but an event manager only has access to the specific event. So what we could do is I could add myself, and this is another nice trick that is good to know, is in Golf Genius, they use your email as your login. So obviously if you need to access multiple accounts, or if you're trying to give someone access to an event and they have an account somewhere else, it's not going to allow you to use that email again. So the best way to get around that is to enter their email, and before the @ sign you add a plus and anything that you, and then something else. And what this will do is it will count it as a separate account, even though the email will go to the same place. When you send an email and you have this plus designation in there, the email system ignores it, but Golf Genius will actually see it as a separate entity. So I can click invite, and so this will send me an email inviting me to be an event manager for this event. As you can see here, it does come up in a separate category showing you who specifically is an event manager versus a customer one. And you always have the ability to promote them if you want, or remove them if you do not need them anymore. You will see you can't remove customer managers. If it ever comes to it and you need to get them removed, please let us know and we will be happy to do that for you. Okay, so that's everything we want to cover in an event. So now on to golfers. Just wanted to show you this real quick, the send email to golfers. This is a nice way to send information to people in your event, just to let them know if something changed or send out tee times. So what you start with is by selecting who you want to send it to. So right now you'll see down here is these are all the people in our event that we have emails for. So we can either check all of them or only just select certain people. And you can also, if you have a very large event, you can search by name for people within the event and then select them. You can also sort by different categories if you want. Once you have the people you want to send to selected, you can come down below. We can add other email addresses if we want that aren't in the event. We can attach files, choose a subject line, and create our message. And then from there, we can send it out to all of our players. Pretty simple, just kind of work your way down. And as you can see here, the message center isn't, there are some options for how to design it, but it's fairly basic. So you don't want to try to go too overboard with it. This is more just for informational things. Alright. So next thing I want to go back over is event division, flights, and teams. So last week, all we did was we entered our people in and let the system automatically create the all golfer division. So this division is created automatically by the TM program, and as you can see here, you can't edit the membership of it because this is designed to have all your golfers in it. So one of the things we're going to do today is run tournaments such as side games where not everyone will be participating in them. So the easiest way to separate people out so you can designate them in different tournaments is to add a new division. So we're going to add a new division. We're going to call it skins. As you can see here, we do have some other options. We can copy a division, which is very useful. So like if we know that our skins game has everyone but 2 people, why create a whole new one when we can just copy over all golfers and then just take out those few people we don't want. We can automatically create it based on a custom field if we have those. We can also do it by age and gender. Right now we'll just add a new one and hit next. So now we need to select who we want in our division. We can just go through and click on people. Single click on them will add them up to the top, which is where the people in the division show up. As you can see, we can easily remove them by hitting the X on top. So let's add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so we got 10 people in there now. Let's save that. Alright, so those 10 people are now in our skins division. Now, let's say we're also going to do a Deuce game, but this one has everybody but just one person who chooses not to do it in it. So this time we're going to copy a division. We're going to name the division Deuce. 1 second here. And then we're going to select the event division that we want to copy. And we're going to go to all golfers. As we see, we also have the chance to copy the skins division. We're going to hit next. And now we have a Deuce division with 36 golfers in it. So we want to edit the membership. And let's say Mr. Wacky Wabbit is the only one not playing. So we will deselect him and hit save. So now we just created 2 new divisions that will allow us to sort out and designate who's playing in what tournament. Because if we had selected to use the all golfer tournament for our Deuce game, all 36 would have been participating in it when we only needed 35 and skins only needed 10. So next thing we want to do in our all golfers division is we want to flight our golfers. So we're going to go manage flighted golfers. Now this time we're going to use the autofill flights. We're going to do it by handicap index. As you can see, you can also do course handicap, entry number, age or gender, and you can even use tournament results if you've had a previous tournament in the event. We can also use custom fields or do it manually if we want. We're going to select the number of flights that we want, and we just want 2 today. We're going to hit next. And the system wants us to confirm how many people we want in each flight. So this way, if we had an odd number, we could select which flight had the most people. We can also rename them if we want. So we could just change this to F2 and F1 and hit next. So the system will process and create those flights for us. Alright, now we can look through and see who are in the different flights. You can also see down here that it says and more golfers. So this is really just a preview screen. If we want to see everyone in the flight, we need to go to edit membership. and then we can get people out of the flight if we want. As you can see down here, it doesn't show any available golfers because right now all 36 golfers in the division are separated into those two flights. But if we remove somebody, like let's say we move Oliver and save, and then we change flight to flight 2, we can then add Oliver to flight 2. Now he's up there, and we save. Okay. We can also add new flights if we want to add a third one. Like we decide, 18 is just too many people in a flight. Now what I want to do is go back to the main screen for flights. So rather than hitting cancel or trying to hit the back button, I'm going to use this bar up here and just go to all golfers flights. And this will take me back to the screen showing all the flights. As you can see, we have the option to delete them or even resort them if we think the sort didn't come out how we wanted. We can always rename them and delete them here also. Another thing to remember is, let's say you finish your flights and you want to do a printout. We always have the option to print flights here. And so we can decide how we want to do it, if we want the flight on a new page or just by itself. Positioning within flights, we'll just do it by handicap index and hit print. System will process. Taking a little longer than normal. Alright, then we can download our PDF, and now we have a printout showing our different flights with our members in it. As you can see here, the logo up here is set to this picture. This was due to this must be an error in the logos and banners that we'll have to check on. But we can change this, and our secondary logo should come up over here if we'd had one. So we will check on that in a minute. Let's close that. Go back. And now we're going to go back to our event division flights and teams to continue. Alright, as you can see here, we also have the option to print division. This print button comes up whether you're looking at divisions, teams, flights, groups. It always is there. Managed groups is another way of separating out golfers within a division. We're not big proponents of it. We find that having different divisions helps manage it better for us. But groups are an option that you can use to separate people within a division to use them in different tournaments. So we could have created a Deuce group and a Skins group within the All Golfers division, but I find it easier to do it this way. That is why we separated them out by division. Now we're going to create teams. And we can also flight the teams if we would like. Alright, we're going to enter a team. We'll just go call it teams. Set our size. 4. And we will create the teams manually. And then we can decide how we want to name the teams. So the team format name, we'll just use last name of all players in alphabetical order. Hit next. Okay, so I'm going to create these teams pretty much randomly because I want to show you something when we're doing tournaments. So click on 4 people, since that's how many we should have in our team. And you see we're on team 1, so we want to save that. So we got our 4 people in team 1, and we hit save. Now we're on to team 2. Find our 4 people, hit save. And we keep going. Now, if not everyone is going to be on a team, you can always stop anytime you want. You don't have to use all the people. This is just showing the available people. We are going to finish it out and just get everyone in here. Alright, last one. Save that. Alright. And if you ever need to make a change to a team, we can select here and sort through them and jump back to any team to either remove somebody or make somebody a captain. We can add a new team here. And then to see our overview of teams, we can click on the teams. And this will show us the overview of all the teams that we have created. And you have the ability to sort them here. We can print over here. Each one has the ability to edit membership, or you can edit the name. So if you want to put in special names for your teams, you do have the ability to do that. You can also delete a team if you'd like. Alright, so let's go back to the All Golfers team list. So as you can see here, this allows you to actually have multiple sets of teams within a division. So if we had a 4-man game going on and a 2-man game going on, we could set up another team list with 2-person teams and have it in here as well, and then use just those 2-person teams for that tournament. We'll get into that here in just a little bit, but today we're just going to stick with 4-person teams and kind of show you the options you have when doing tournaments. We do have the ability to flight the team group. So this flight would then take over from the other one when we're playing a team game. So we're going to autofill, do combined handicap index, and we'll show 2 flights. And next. As you can see, we have tie-breaking options, but right now we're just going to stick like this. So we're going to change this from 4 in the first and 5 in the second. Hit next. Alright, that'll process and save. Let's go back to our event division flights and teams. So this always shows us our overview of what we have. So we can see here in All Golfers, we have one team list containing 9 teams, and currently we have 4 flights. And that's because we have the 2 for the single person flights and the 2 for the team flights. And if you ever want to look through those, we can always click here to manage flights by teams, manage flights by golfers. We can manage our team lists where we can edit the teams individually. Our Deuce and Stinsdame are no flights, and they're all individual, so we do not have any team lists or groups or flights. Alright, so now that we have our people all sorted in the event division flights and teams, we're going to continue on. Next thing we want to show you is under golfers. We have access GIN to update handicap indexes. So this is something that's important to do. Important to do at the right time before your event. Once you have updated your indexes, the system kind of saves those and will keep using those for any rounds in the event. It tries to take the whichever one you designate. So the reason it does this is, for example, if your event is on the 15th, so the revision date, you can choose whether you want to use the 14th revision or the new one on the 15th, and the system tries to remember that. So that way, if you had selected update handicaps on the 13th, it would have saved those and kept using those for the new one. So if you want to use the 15th one, it's important to remember that so you can make sure to make the change in the morning. So as you can see here, it checks off the people with the GIN numbers. So anyone with GIN numbers, it'll automatically assume you want to update from GIN. Everyone else, it can't do it. So update method, we can also use trend or low handicap for a specific date range. We'll just stick with current, and we tell it which round this will be using. So in a multi-round event, you can tell it what round you want to update for. Otherwise, it'll save the last one you had put in for that round. So let's hit update, and we'll just show you how this works. So you can see here, it'll come up as pending on the right as it's talking with GIN. This usually takes maybe about a minute. And then over here, this will usually turn up green, saying it is completed. Taking a little longer today. There it goes. Alright, so it comes up as updated. This is a really nice feature that it shows you. It shows you what it was and what it went to after the update. So we can see here that so far these haven't changed. And here, no handicaps. That means this person either doesn't have a handicap or there was some sort of issue. Let's see if anyone has changed. Same thing here, no handicap. So, alright, just want to make sure you guys saw that and saw how to do that. It's very simple. As you can see, it does take a minute, but it's very useful when you're getting ready for your event. Alright, so that's everything in golfers I want to cover. And calendar, we don't have anything to worry about there because we already have our one round in. Under rounds, let's go to rounds, division, flights, and teams. One common mistake that can happen for people is, so we set up our round last time, and then this time we just went in and did all those changes into our event, division, flights, and teams, and you can see here that not all of them have come through. So we have our all golfers with one team list but no flights. We only have a Deuce Division. So if we had skipped this step and gone right into creating our tournaments, we would have gotten very odd results, and some of the tournaments might not have processed correctly because according to the round, we don't have all that stuff that we just did in event. So to move everything over, we have this button up here that says sync. If you ever see this blue, then it's probably a good idea to click on it and sync your round with your event information for division, flights, and teams. So we hit OK. System will process. Alright, and now you see this is white, and it says all division, flights, and teams are in sync. So now we see that we have our all golfers with our team list, 9 teams, 4 flights. We have our Deuce game, and we have our Shins game. So it's a common mistake that can happen, so I wanted to make sure to point that out. It's a pretty easy fix most of the time, but it's one of those things to remember. There are circumstances in multi-round events where you might not want the round division, flights, and teams to match the event one, but in a single round event, there's no reason why you wouldn't have them match. Okay. Alright, so now let's move on to our tournaments. So now we're going to go through and create some different tournaments, a little more complicated ones. So our first one that we had last time was our very basic stroke play, player versus the field, gross net, very simple tournament. So what we want to create next is a 4-person game using our teams. So as we can see here, we have the ability to choose which division we want to use. For right now, we're going to use all golfers, and we are going to turn this as 4-person team game. And we're actually going to create a little unique one right now. So we're going to choose which teams we want to use. We're going to hit teams. Now this is an important one. Is this switch here. Is your tee sheet, or will it be physically organized by teams, or will it not be? So this is an important one to remember, because if you created teams and you didn't pair people by the teams, if you select the top one, it won't error on you, but it'll create very odd results and will look really funny. So we are going to click the bottom one, and okay. And now we have the option how the scores will be included. All team players, only best team players. Payouts will be by teams. Now our stroke game, we're going to leave at stroke, but as you can see here, we have our skins and deuces, which we'll get to in a minute. Alright, our competition will be team all versus flight. Alright, now over here on balls, we have all these different options. We have best ball in each hole, balls selected by par. What I want to show you today is the advanced option. So what this allows you to do is add rules for how you want the game to be played. So you can add a rule for every individual hole on the golf course. So let's say we want an odd number of holes for the front 9. So we go the same ball can be counted more than once, same ball cannot be counted more than once. That's what we'll stick with today. And we're going to identify the balls by the score. Okay, so for these first 5 holes, we're going to go with the best gross. Actually, we'll go with the best net. We'll go with the best gross, and actually, let's go with the best net and the second best gross score. And bonus balls on birdies are better, which we won't use. So we hit done. So now we have a rule for those first 5 holes. So now let's add another rule for 2, 4, 6, and 8, where we're only going to use the best 2 net scores. Hit done. Then for our back 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, we're going to use the worst gross score, but the best net score. And hit done. And our final rule will be 11, 13, 15, and 17, where we use the best of both. Alright, so now we just set up a pretty unique tournament where the rules vary throughout the entire round. It's still, you're still playing the same game where everyone plays their own ball, but the scoring is where you have all these unique options. We are playing 18 holes. Now for our net, we do have options here. This is an important one to look at, is the USGA net off lowest. This is what a lot of people use for match play. We will be covering match play next week, but I just wanted you guys to see that so you knew it was there. So we're going to adjust everybody to 90%, and this will be for their team total. We're going to retain ties, and now we also want to do some more advanced handicapping options, and to do that we will click on handicaps down here, and this is where we can do more specific options for this tournament. So we're going to start with a use index to calculate course handicap. You can also use the index as a course handicap if you want. We can set maximums, apply allowances, and then we can also use decimal points if we want to be a little more specific in our scoring and not have as many ties. So these options will change based on what type of game that you have playing. So if you have a 2-man match play event, then it'll actually come up showing do you want to limit the maximum difference between the team. So one of the important things to remember about TM is that it's not that the option isn't available, it's just that you have a setting somewhere that tells the system that you don't need that setting. So it is just one of those things to remember, that it's not so much that the system can't do that, it's just that you have something set that it's thinking that you won't need that. Alright, so let's save this tournament. Alright, now let's go in. Now we're actually going to create a 2-person game. And what I want to show you is the fact that now we never set up a 2-person teams in our event division flights and teams, so we don't actually have any teams to use, because if we try to use this, we'll be using all 4 people. So one of the really nice things about TM is that we can come over here to competition, and we can select if we want to use pair versus field or pairs and foursome. So we don't even need to create teams a lot of times. We can actually use these settings of pairs or foursomes based off of pairings to create teams. So if the teams in there, if the pairings are set how you want them with teams built in, you don't even need to create the teams also. We can just go in here and let's go pair versus field. And we're going to go an average of both balls. And then we'll take our handicap at 90%. And also under handicaps, we will now have the ability to limit the difference in course handicap. And you see here, you have two different options. The top one is the one that the USGA recommends, is that if the handicaps are greater than 8 strokes, then you reduce each player's course handicap by an additional 10%. We also have the ability to limit the combined team course handicap. So again, these weren't available before because that was a 4-person team. Now that we've dropped down to a 2-person team, we have more options available to us. Or different options, I should say. We will hit done. And we will save this. Alright, next we want to add our Stins game. So wait for it to load. We go Stins. We select our Stins division to make sure we reduce the number of people that are being calculated in it. Change our format to Stins. And then we're going to use player versus field, own ball in each hole. Stins will not carry over, but we can if we want. And we are not going to require a certain score to win a stin, and no validation. We're going to use the net, but this time we're going to keep with our 90%. Actually, this time we'll only use 80. And pro rata to stins. That means we can set in a total purse amount, so we know we have 200 in total. And this will take the however many stins are won and just divide that into 200. So you don't have to set an amount per stin. It's just whatever your pot was. So we'll save this. All right, and finally we want to do our Deuce game. And we will select our Deuce division, come down here to format, come down to deuces, still player, and this one will actually use player versus field, own ball, 18 holes, and we'll leave the adjusted at 100% for this one. And so we will do net deuces game. So we will save that. All right. So we've built all of our tournaments that we want the system to store. Now let's say we also want to add a KP contest. We have this ability to add user scored tournaments. So we will click on this, and all it basically is a very simple way that you can type in what type of game it is. So how we want to award, this will be an individual game for KP, and we'll hit go, and that will save it. And we'll also add a long drive number 16, also individual, and we'll hit go. So what these do is allow you to enter in your results yourself and then put them on the leaderboard or the TV display. And so the system actually doesn't score these or do anything with them. They're just kind of a way for you to have it up on the leaderboard without having to enter it in manually or something. Or write it in is what I meant. Okay. So those are the type of tournaments we wanted to go over. Now, what I want to show you before we get to the leaderboard is under Handicap Analysis again. We talked about this last week, how this is a great option to show people why their handicap came out how it is. As you can see here, the Handicap Analysis does an analysis for every net tournament that you created. So if we click on our net stroke play, it comes up as individuals with a course handicap. So Caleb, for instance, is a 24. Now, if we come over here to our Stins Dame, where we put a reduction on the handicap with 80% of the total, you'll see here now Caleb's only a 22. Well, he may wonder, why is that different? Again, if we click on his name, it'll show us exactly why he was brought down to that, where he starts off at his 21, they apply the percentage of 80%, bringing him down to a 17, and then 3-5 gets applied, and he turns into a 22. If ever needed, we can always make adjustments to the course handicap by clicking here, and we can manually adjust this if we feel it's needed. Same thing with team games. We click on our 4-person team, and we can see why John comes out to be a 4, and so on. And let's also look at our 2-person team here. Again, now if this was a scramble event where everything gets combined together, you would see that the handicaps would be calculated as a team, not just as individual. Since everyone is playing their own ball, that's why you continue to have the same person there. But again, the handicaps will be slightly different based off of the rules that we have applied. Okay, so let's go ahead and enter our scores. We went over scorecards last week a little, and we will do more on that when we get to our advanced reporting and scorecards. All right, so let's enter in our random scores. Wait for it. There we go. So let's go ahead and test the leaderboard. This will take us right to the leaderboard with all of our different tournaments. All right. So this will be the last section we go over today. Just kind of want to show you with all these different tournaments how the system equates it out and displays it for you. All right. So the system ran through all the different ones. As you can see under player per summary, this is always a great way to see the totals for people who won. We have our 3 different tournaments. All right. So under our 4-person team game, we can pull it up and see how everyone came out. So if we click on them, we can see their scorecard and which scores were taken on which holes. The circles designate those. So kind of a unique game how we came up with here, especially with where we take some of the worst holes, or 5 and 6, and you can see here we have our total to par and then our total overall. Have our 2-person game. Same thing, since we did not have teams, we did not set up the name. So you can see here that the name of the team is both people's name, including by a plus. And we show what it is to par. Again, we can pull it up since it's just a basic best ball. All right, our Stins game. Looks like we only had three people win Stins, except they won a fair number of them. This is a funny thing about doing random scores, is they truly are random. So you get some pretty odd looking scores in the end, but it's a good way to test out and just to make sure everything comes out right. And Deuce spot, take a look, and it looks like we had quite a bit of deuces since we were playing on the net side. Obviously, if you change this to gross, it would limit it a little bit. All right, now our KPs, we want to enter results. So since these are user scored, we select how they're won. So let's say John gets position number 1 and he wins, he wins 50. And then details, we can actually type in why he won the $50 or whatever it is. So we can say he was 3 feet 4 inches from pin. Some people like putting in fun notes there. Oh, position 1. Sorry, I typed in the number sign. That's why it didn't come up right before. We also have second places also. So we did put number 2, and he wins 25. Click off to save it. And then he came in at 4 feet 5 inches from pin. And save. We always have the option to clear out those adjustments if we want. So now we can either hit done adjusting, but since we need to do the long drive also, we can click on the long drive to bring up the results. And let's say Kevin took first place. Now it'd be great to know how far he went, but sadly we can't tell that. So now that we finished how we want to do it, we hit done adjusting. All right, and now our results have been stored. We can always print the leaderboard if we want, but let's go to the TV display just because I want to show that. This will be a quicker way just to show the results. All right, so now let's change our watermark and background. So our watermark is going to be our primary logo. We can set the size of it and how opacity. And then the background will be our current one. So, and see, these are different things you can do with the leaderboard, with the backgrounds and how everything comes through. And we went through some of this last time with the font sizes and all that, but these are all different things you can manage with it. So it's a very nice feature if you have a TV ability to display all this. But all right, so let's just go back real quick and see why our. All right, let's just check here because obviously our logo is not coming out right. If it's still coming out with that picture rather than the one we wanted, and it seems like our primary was not switched over. There we go. All right, so that's now our primary, which is what we wanted. Let's go back to our TV display here real quick just to make sure that changed properly. Now, as you can see, little things happen, and knowing how to fix them is always useful. So now we have our logo in the correct place just how we want it. We got our background how we want it, and we can even add our banner up top. And now we have our banner that we added in earlier. So those are a few places that those logos and banners get displayed. They're also in the event portal used a lot, which we will get into later. I hope everyone enjoyed the webinar today. I wanted to really focus on getting you guys used to doing some of these more advanced tournaments that I know everyone enjoys doing, especially with the side games. So thank you again for joining us today.